All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. The Fleetwood Mac saga continues, and, unfortunately, this is turning out much like I predicted. Things I put in videos when I was doing my rampant and crazy speculation about Fleetwood Mac, and people who were anti-me were saying, you can't do that. You don't know the entire situation. Well, now we kind of do, right? Brett Tuggle, who spoke to Rolling Stone, who spilled the beans. He played keyboards in Fleetwood Mac, I don't know, for 22 years, something like that? 21 years, sorry. He was dropped after 21 years because Stevie Nicks thought he was too close to Lindsey Buckingham. You can't have that. Well, everybody, prior to all of this, everybody was really close to Lindsey Buckingham. John McVie was close to Lindsey. Why didn't you boot Christine McVie, for crying out loud? See, Tuggle was a hired hand, and he was in demand. Both Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham utilized Tuggle, who plays keyboards and does pretty much anything they ask him to do, a seasoned rock sideman who can, again, do anything they need. Tuggle was one of the supporting musicians when the band started work with Campbell and Finn. That's Mike Campbell and Neil Finn. After Nicks forced out Buckingham in 2018. But he was soon told his services weren't required. It would have been funny if Tuggle got a call from Irving Azoff, but he probably wasn't important enough in Irv's world. I have Elmo's World now playing in my head because, there have been a lot of kids in my life. Anyway, this came after a run that also included work on both Nicks and Buckingham solo projects. I thought it was fine with everybody for a minute, Tuggle told Rolling Stone. In the end, I think Stevie thought I was more in Lindsey's camp. I tried to be Switzerland to all the principals in the Mac. I felt like that was my job. Well, we touched on some of this yesterday, but this article here I get a little bit more thanks to Ultimate Classic Rock for kind of parsing this in a way that I can utilize it a little bit more. He recalled a time when Nicks seemed unhappy about his participation in Buckingham's solo projects. Stop working with him! It came to a point where Stevie said, you're going to have to decide. They really should change, Stevie's name to Ultimatum Stevie. Because she likes to throw the ultimatums out there. I know we're going to hear, I'm getting old, I'm 72, I need what I need, and I need it now, and, life's too short, and, you got Corona out there, and Corona Light, and Corona with a little bit of lime in it. I love playing with you, I support you, but Lindsey doesn't have a band. That's what Tuggle says to her. Lindsey doesn't even have a band. She said, I know he needs good people. She seemed to be okay with it when I went off to do Lindsey's thing, but I think in the end she got out her little playbook and said, Tuggle, negative, She looked at me a little as abandoning her and going over to Lindsey's camp. It really wasn't that. I wasn't all pro-Lindsey. I'm pro all of them. Tuggle remembered the feeling during early rehearsals with Campbell and Finn. We got down there and did a couple of songs of rehearsal, but something felt weird with Stevie. I could tell something was off with her. I think she had already made up her mind about me being Lindsey's guy. Okay, well, he was important to Fleetwood Mac. It's kind of sad that a band needs this much augmentation, but they do. This is what these large bands do these days, and Irving Azoff, he's all for it because that sound has to be a certain way, and the original band apparently can't manage to create that kind of sound anymore. He says, I think my fate was already sealed whether I was there or not. He said he was really shocked when he was called and told he was out of Fleetwood Mac. I also realized that I was in the middle of the politics of Lindsay and Stevie and this band. It's kind of like a Steelers Wheel song. It's kind of like Stuck in the Middle with You. And there was nothing I was going to be able to do about it. I had become Lindsay's guy, and that was it, and I had to accept it. Brett, poor Tuggle. Tuggle should have just stuck to not taking any sides, even though he kind of didn't take any sides. Tuggle argued that Fleetwood Mac needed Buckingham. This is my favorite part of this article, that Tuggle tells it like it is, and I've said this in multiple videos, and I concur with Mr. Tuggle. He says that Fleetwood Mac needed Buckingham. I think right now what you have is a great band with Neil and Mike. Okay, he's being too diplomatic here, but I can cut him some slack for that. But it's not the same band. You really don't have the tension that makes that band so great, which is Stevie and Lindsay, ex-lovers and everything, looking each other in the eye and giving you chills from the emotional context. You won't get that from this band. Remember the casual chemistry? There's casual chemistry between Stevie Nicks and Neil Finn. Ooh. Yeah. No dose. Anyway, you're going to get the Stevie Mac. Stevie Mac, I like that. See, and that's what this has been about. Look, someone needs to tell Stevie, you're an important part of Fleetwood Mac, but you are not Fleetwood Mac. You are not. But that's Mick Fleetwood. They make their decisions, based on name ID and what will the casual fans accept? Well, they'll accept pretty much anything because they've got disposable income. You put Fleetwood Mac on the marquee. Ooh, Fleetwood Mac? Who's in the band? Screw it. They fired some guy. Well, good. Good riddance to him. They didn't need him. He was mean to Stevie. Anyway, he goes on to say, it's going to be Mac Light. I like that. There are a lot of cool names here. Mac Light. You're not going to get the full goods. He added that Buckingham, and this is awesome right here, is really the one that is driving the ship. He's the instigator and the architect. How many times did I say architect genius in those videos? You've got to put out new stuff to remain viable, even if it's not going to sell 12 million copies. And Fleetwood Mac had the opportunity. Stevie Nicks would not present songs, and therefore it was Buckingham McVie. Lindsay is all about putting out new art. So there you have it. Pretty much everything I've talked about on this channel here, nicely condensed, and you've got first-hand knowledge from a guy who was there and a guy who was then fired. Brett Tuggle, not to be confused with Chicago's Brett Simons, who also is a sideman who is hired to be actually in the band, which maybe Brett Tuggle should look for a gig that is similar to what Brett Simons has, although neither one of them are probably getting paid adequately, so who knows. In any event, I'm done. Thanks for watching. If you're a Fleetwood Mac fan and this doesn't kind of make you a little ticked off, then I don't know. I guess it's just this year has been so bad as it is that maybe it doesn't matter anymore to a lot of people. Matters to me, and that's why I keep covering it. All right, I'm done.